In your opinion, what is the biggest internal economic threat in America, and what is the biggest external economic threat to America?
So these are pretty easy. Income inequality, I think, is the biggest risk to the U.S. economy. It's a lot of the driver behind all of the divisiveness that we've seen, the protests, the fires in the streets, the political rancor, the rhetoric being as hateful as it is. A lot of it comes down to the fact that the haves have more than they ever have, and the have-nots have less than they ever had. So this massive divide is very bad for the U.S. economy.
Is this what we always hear about, the K-shaped economy?
The K-shaped economy,
Okay.
exactly. And that's how it's been. And it's still going in that direction.
And did that start? When did that really start? Because in 2008, during the recession, you had the
the Fed come out and start printing money. I mean, it really got going after 2008 because the Fed's quantitative easing policies, the printing of the money, if you will, that tends to flow into people, into portfolios, investment portfolios. It helps out people who have stock holdings, which is 55% of Americans.
Right.
So the other 45% are the have-nots, if you will, because the Fed's policies don't reach them. And that's why you see discussions about Janet Yellen and how she might get money directly to the people. But again, it's a slippery slope. It's socialism in drag.
And how do we solve this income? If that's the biggest internal threat in America, how do we solve? I know this is a loaded question.
Yeah.
How do you solve income inequality?
You invest in productivity. You do massive infrastructure spending that creates jobs. You do what Germany does. You have jobs reskilling. I mean, if we're going to spend taxpayers' money, why don't we give the people who've been out of work or whose industries have become permanently redundant, like bricks and mortar retailers? I mean, you've got Disney here in Florida that's doing an amazing business in their theme parks. At the same time, they're closing 60 of their retail stores throughout North America. That's 60 people whose job skills aren't going to be transferable because we're not turning back online shopping. We're going to continue to shop online. So, but take that worker who's been displaced and give him a new skill set.
Invest in productivity.
Invest in productivity. Invest in jobs reskilling. Invest in programs that create jobs, and you will naturally grow the economy.
Great response. Now, what do you think is the biggest external economic threat? China. One word answer.
China.
Now, just elaborate on that, because we talked about this earlier on the podcast. We've been talking about China and all the wrongdoings that they're doing and all their agenda made in 2025. What's the deal with China?
It's bigger than that. Huawei has a third of the world's telecommunications equipment. A third.
Wow.
Once that number gets to 50%, the United States has basically lost the war. Not the battle, but the war.
And where's the United States in that number? If they have a third, what?
Fraction?
Less than 10%?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Wow.
And that's the issue, is that we've stopped producing in America what's going to carry the world into the next generation, whether it's artificial intelligence, quantum computing, telecommunications equipment, semiconductor manufacturing. This is all next gen. I mean, your average car, I think it takes 200 semiconductors to build your average car. And we don't produce semiconductors, enough of them here in the United States. And so once China wins this technological race, pre-COVID, the estimates were that China would overtake the U.S. economy in 2030, pre-COVID. Post-COVID, because they obviously were able to force their will upon the people to not move, to shut down. So they were much more rigorous because it's a communist nation. They can be controlling of their people. But China was able to reopen more quickly than a lot of places in the rest of the world that kind of had in the middle type of COVID policies.
Is the China thing taking over the number one spot in the economy? Is it inevitable, or is there a way
it's not
America
just
can
inevitable.
Still win this?
It is happening. So pre-COVID 2030 was when China was going to become the largest. Right now, the estimates are now for 2028. If China's currency continues to appreciate in value versus the dollar, it could be as soon as 2026, 5 years.
For some reason, have you ever seen the movie Ricky Bobby?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great movie. Talladega Nights, Ricky
Talladega
Bobby.
Nights.
And like the most famous line in that movie was he says, If you ain't first, you're last.
True.
Right? So America's been first for 70 plus years.
British pound sterling started to decline in 1921. It was shortly after World War I.
Yeah.
And that is when the dollar began its century-long rise. So these things do go in long cycles, but we have to understand that there are more than economic implications to losing the superpower status. There are other geopolitical factors that we have to take into account if China becomes the largest economy. And it appears to be inevitable because, again, look at post-COVID. More than $5 trillion once we get this next $1.9 trillion. More than $5 trillion, not a penny of it put into productive means by our government. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, China's got 30 airports that are under construction. And they've got high-speed railways, and our infrastructure is falling apart, and they're building out the next gen. So we've unfortunately, President Trump's trade policies put the focus on soybeans, which, I mean, China needs to import food. It's important, but their focus has been on semiconductors. So
soybeans, semiconductors. That's sort of the battle that
today, tomorrow.
Wow.
So
Well, I'm going to have a drink to that response. I'll tell you that much. That was rough.
I'm not going to have a drink to that response because I hope there's a third-party initiative. I hope there's some kind of movement I'll totally get behind to make government work again. Because we're a big country, we're a great country, we're an innovative people, and we need to figure out how to make government work for everybody again. So
I'll drink to that too, because that we can drink to.
That we can drink
response.
to.
America first.
America first.
Thank you for watching this short clip. If you want to see the full episode, check it out right here. And if you have not subscribed to Valuetainment, click right here.
All we talk is money. All we talk is money.